vibing with another show. Tell me everybody, can you catch this flow? We're breaking down mental glass ceilings, so you know who we win. Tony Dixon and friends. They tell me that the sky's the limit. Your purpose calling you, baby, you make the difference. Take charge, do you know who you win? Tony Dixon and friends. Who we win? Tony Dixon and friends. Yeah, yeah. Tony Dixon and friends. Tony Dixon and friends. Who we win? Tony Dixon and friends.
Welcome to the Tony Dixon and Friends podcast. My name is Eric McAlpin, and our goal is to educate and inspire you to break the mental glass ceilings. And today I'm here with my guys, Mr. Kelf Bailey.
Yes, sir.
And, of course, the man himself, Mr. Tony Dixon.
What's up?
Hey, guys, what's going on? How's everything been going, man?
Going good, man.
We
Going
here.
Good. We are here, my
We are
brother.
here, officially here.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing this for a while, and you know, this was a vision that you had, Tony. But before we get into it, man, we want to find out why are we here. Who is Tony Dixon?
Oh man, yeah. You know, first of all, I'm a young kid from Reform, Alabama, right? A person that came from humble beginnings, two loving parents, and just a dreamer. You know, I grew up, you know, having dreams, wanted to be Superman, as an example. And my parents never got me that cake for Christmas because they knew I was crazy enough to get on top of the roof and try to fly. But you take that, underneath that, I'm also a person who really didn't know who he was, a person searching for happiness. And I thought peace and joy and success was a destination. And I know we'll get into it, but what I've since learned as I've gotten older, through all the trials, tribulations, the wins, the highs, the lows that I've been through, what I've truly understood is all about just being who I am. And my mindset makes all the difference. And I know we'll be talking more about that, but that's who I see myself in and as I've evolved over the years.
So, you and I met back in 1994, 1995. It's crazy to say that out loud,
It
right?
sure is.
You know what I'm saying? We getting old. We met on the campus of Stillman College with Upward Bound.
Upward Bound.
Good.
Yeah, better.
Best.
I will never.
Stop to rest.
Till my good
Gets better.
and my better gets best.
best.
Yes, sir.
And when you think about that, man, you think about the experiences we had with Mr. Freeman and
Yeah.
being able to bring first-generation college students together to where you are today. Talk to the folks about how you and I met from Upward Bound.
Yeah, man. Upward Bound, to me, I had no idea about that. So you talk about being a dreamer, and I talked about being that earlier, I didn't know about Upward Bound. Like, honestly, a couple of friends from school came and started talking about, man, you heard about Stillman College Upward Bound? Upward Bound, they have a little summer program, all that. Hey, listen, I'm a young kid trying to get away from Reform for the summer. At the end of the day, I'm like, how can I get away from Reform, even though it was Tuscaloosa? And when I first walked into it, I tried to understand how do I get in this? And I got in because I was first-generation college student. Walking on that campus, and even though it was just 30 miles down the road, like the mindset shift that happened in going from Reform, Alabama, being planted in a place of people from Tuscaloosa County, Greene County, Hill County, all these other surrounding counties in West Alabama, I was exposed to people who had different visions, different thoughts, and quite candidly, different needs. And it started the breeding ground for the becoming, if you will, and started allowing me to believe of things that are possible through meeting people like Eric McAlpin.
But then when you think about it, right? So yeah, we were first generation college students or whatever, but TD, you were like the man because you were a big time, you were a big time Division I college recruit. So I got to bring in, my guy, Mr. Kelf Bailey. And you and Kelf got stories about how you all met on the campus of the University of Alabama.
Yeah, stories. I can't tell them all, though. I can't tell them all. But yeah, man, this is my guy. So happy to be here supporting Tony in this journey that we're going on here. And it started, at high school from the standpoint of me not even meeting Tony, but being aware. So Tony talks about his ball playing days at Reform High School, well, Pickens County High School. They're in Reform. And I was a big recruit here in Tuscaloosa. And of course, we read the newspaper clippings, and we're always kind of taking a look at who was doing what, and then just to get the opportunity as we're looking to see who's doing what week by week, but get the opportunity to meet each other, and then form a relationship to say that, you know what, because of us going on newspaper shoots and being able to interact with one another and just seeing that or feeling, and we didn't know what it was at that time, we know now that it's God ordaining our steps in that time frame for us to be college roommates at the University of Alabama, and look at us here today.
Yeah, man, like he downplaying it, man. He was like number one recruit. Like the only reason I got love was because they were coming to see this man. Central High.
So wow. So when you think about it, Tuscaloosa, where Kev went to high school, Central High School, is in like 5 minutes from the University of Alabama.
Yes.
And you always talk about people drove through Tuscaloosa, and saw Kev Bailey, but they drove through to come see you.
Only because they were going to Mississippi.
Only because they were going.
It was
to
an easy stop.
So hold on. I want to make sure everybody understands. How big is Reform, Alabama?
Man, first of all, we call it a city. It's a town. Like, I think population right now may be 1,800, and it's declining. So we were a 2A school then. You know, so you all were a 6A powerhouse, ranked in the nation, I might add. And we were a 2A school, and now it's a 1A school, to put it in context.
Yeah. But, okay, so now you go from a 1A school, but now you're playing at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Yeah. So
for the University of Alabama.
A dream. Again, I didn't think it was possible, even though it was right down the street. I really didn't think playing at University of Alabama was possible. And honestly, you know, our first time being on the field together was in Mobile at the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game.
Really?
Who, by the way, he was MVP for that. So that's what I just want to put this in context.
You set me up, though. Dog. You set me up.
Yeah, whatever. But he was the MVP for the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. And honestly, that's when I will tell you, a little bit of the belief started to come in, and maybe I can do this. When we were down there with going against Mississippi, who that year, Mississippi was stacked.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm talking about stacked. So we were not supposed to win that game.
Yeah.
But it's one of those scenarios, as you even think about the journey that we've had in our life, of the journey of the underdogs, right? We came in and we ended up beating the mighty Mississippi that year. And and my homeboy, who ended up becoming a roommate, became MVP of that thing. So yeah, that's where we really started forming our bond. And matter of fact, several guys on either side ended up being our teammates at Alabama.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I got to go into that story.
Go ahead.
I do, because when you talk about that, and you know, it's funny to look back on these stories now and just seeing how it all worked out. But a chemistry was developed right there on that field, and so the play that I feel won me the MVP award was a collaboration between Tony and I. And so I blocked a punt in the game. But you got to understand the story of that, all right? It wasn't the first punt of the game, but there was a low-scoring game, so it was a lot of punts in that game. However, I noticed that, because Tony was lined up right inside of me, that when we would rush, that my guy was setting out really hard, and his guy was staying on him. Yep. And so I just told Tony, I was like, hey, look, man, I said, on this one, I said, you just kind of go and hold back. Your guy's going to stop, and I'm going to cut underneath. I was like, now, if they fake this thing, come outside, I need you to be there. But of course they didn't. I don't think they had any trick plays set up, but I cut inside and blocked the kick. But that's where the chemistry and bond was born, right there on a special teams play.
On a special teams play.
On a special team.
We got to remember that. Special team.
Yeah.
I think because we are a special team, man.
That's right.
So, Tony, fast forward, I think 2001, you were the 56th pick, the second round, by the Dallas Cowboys. Hold on, I want to make sure I get this story right. Reform, Alabama, a town that only has 2,000 or less people.
Yeah.
University of Alabama.
Yeah.
Now you're going to what is known as America's team.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that?
I still don't know. I mean, honestly, and the story is so rich and so long to really get into. But I'll tell you, even before leading up to that event of being drafted, going to the combine, even being finding out that I was even in the number of people that's being considered for the honor of playing in the NFL, I didn't believe it. I did not believe it. And Kelf can tell you, like our college experience, we found out now that we're older, it was more alike than we realized, and we were roommates and didn't even know what each other were going through.
Yeah.
In terms of lack of communication and vulnerability for men, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I almost did not play my senior year of college because of some of the drama that I was having, and quite candidly, I was student first. Like,
Yeah.
I knew going to the University of Alabama, the only thing that was ingrained in me was graduate.
Yep.
My dad didn't graduate college. My mom didn't graduate college. Several of my aunts, uncles, cousins had not. Some of the older ones had. So with me, it was all about get your degree. Because as far as I was concerned, if I work at B.F. Goodrich and retire there, that was success to me.
Yep.
It was never about NFL. And reform may have been one of those glass ceilings, right, that I had upon myself to not even believe it possible. But yeah, I didn't believe it. And had it not been for our position coach, Charlie Harbison, I actually was vulnerable to him.
Yeah.
And I walked in his office and told him, I don't think I'm going to play my senior year. I'm about to graduate in August, man. 3 years, which that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to get my master's and start working. I'm not even about that. And he was the one that said, through my vulnerability, he opened up to me and said, submit your name to the clearinghouse and at least find out, what are you projected? That letter comes back, them jokers said day 2. So my first business decision, right, as a business major was,
Yeah.
like, okay, well, let's come back and play this senior year. So I literally took enough classes, and Kelf laugh about this all the time. Like, I was a part-time, full-time student because I took just enough classes to be a student there on campus and stay there. And I ended up graduating instead of August, graduating in December. And the rest is history.
Yeah. So you did a couple of years in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So I want to make sure I'm going somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Reform, University of Alabama, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
You have a nice career with the NFL, mm-hmm. but then you enter into the working world.
Yeah.
Now you're a national sales leader for a major Fortune 500 company. How does a guy from Reform, Alabama succeed in corporate America? How do you make it to corporate America?
Yeah, so that imposter syndrome never died. So even after spending 5 years in the NFL and then after that transition, you know, it didn't end the way I wanted to end. So even in that, I went through depression, suicidal thoughts, and hindsight looking back, it was because I didn't fulfill the expectations that I had set for myself. It had nothing to do with the outer exposure, like, because of course you're gonna have those people that no matter how good you do, they're gonna be like, dude, you terrible, right? Yeah. So if you listen to the noise, you're gonna always be caught by that noise. But even a person that wasn't listening to, it wasn't even about the noise for me. It was like me saying, once I got there, I was locked in, because one of the things my dad told me, you start something, finish it.
Absolutely.
Right? So when I got there, my mindset was Super Bowl, Pro Bowl, all these things that on paper show that you're successful. And when I didn't achieve those things, it ripped, like, it was like a double-edged sword going in and cutting me up. So I really did not understand who Tony Dixon was, because in that gap, remember I said that was my first business decision.
Yeah.
So I didn't make that decision based on who Tony or what I thought was best for Tony. I made it because, oh, this is a great opportunity I don't want to pass up. So when that left, my identity was wrapped into the player.
Yeah.
So now I'm in Dallas, a part of America's team, and now I'm not a part of that club anymore. You see the guys out there, they like, oh, there go Tony. But every athlete knows this. When that person's opportunity is gone and you still live in your dream, you don't even know how to relate to that person anymore because it's almost survivor's remorse.
Yeah.
So like they see you, they acknowledge you, but then like, they ain't finna hang with you because hey, he on the outside now, looking in. So from there, once I finally made the decision to get back in the workforce, thank God I did without killing myself in the process. It was about relationship. A guy from Gordo, Alabama, by the name of Kowalski Miller. I'm talking to him. I'm finna date ourselves on doggone blackplanet.com.
Is that still around?
No. So we messaging each other, and he was like, TD, what you got going on? And literally at that point, again, Tony being vulnerable, I say, hey man, I'm about to move back to Alabama. He like, what? To do what? I said, man, honestly, I don't even know. Like literally, I was so at the edge that I knew now that God was telling me, you got to move back. You got to leave this place. And I was vulnerable to this guy, and all he said was this, man, you know what you going to do? I said, I don't know. He said, shoot me your resume. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I don't know what he going to do with it, but let me put it on up. You know, I did learn that in Career Foul. You know, we figured out how to do that back on campus, but I shot him the resume. He shot it to HR. I get a phone call for an interview, and literally I drove from Dallas, Texas to Tennessee to interview with these people, end up landing a job, and that's how I started, who now I've been with this organization for 15 and a half years.
Awesome, man.
All through a relationship, through another situation where being vulnerable to someone that I knew.
Yeah. So through all of that, now we're here.
We're here.
We're here.
Yeah.
You hooked up with me and Kelv, and you decided to create a podcast. I got two questions for you. Why the podcast? Why the conversations? And what's up with the shirts?
Yeah. So to go back even in our relationship from Upward Bound, like we used to have an organization that we called Positive Young Men of West Alabama. Right? So, you know, between the years of 2004 and 2009, we held a football camp at Stillman College. And literally, Eric McAlpin was Mr. Freeman. He organized everything. Literally, he made it easy for me. Even though at that point, I would tell you, we didn't know what we was doing. Yeah. We 22, 23, 24, man. We coming home. We just want to party. We want to do this. But Eric, honestly, saw the vision, and he put it in place. He put the steps in order. And every year we came down and was doing this camp until 2009. You know, so I think, to think about why we're here, we got to really start with that, because full circle moment, like all these years later, some of the people that's in camp are now in leadership positions. Eric sends me a clip last summer of one of the participants that was in camp talking about how that experience put him in a situation that knew that when he got older, he was going to pay it forward. He was doing his first football camp. Wow. Right? Yep. So when we talk about the shirts, you had the belief when I didn't. Yeah. Right? Kelf and I, we had a coach that always talked about iron sharpen iron, cuz. Yes. And then with me, it was all about getting my mind right. So mindset is everything. So that's why we're here, because it's not about what Tony wanted to do. I now understand that this is my assignment and our assignment collectively to do, because we have something to say to the world.
One thing that I can't let it slide by, it may have sounded insignificant in what was said there, but I made a mental note of back then, we didn't know what we were doing.
Did not know.
But we went for it.
Yeah. We went for it.
Yes. Yeah. And look at the impact that had.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't know that you were going to get this clip and somebody said that this time I'm looking to pay it forward. That's awesome.
And who was still sitting there? Him.
Yeah.
Because that's why that shirt means so much to me when I see you on it, because you've always had that belief. You've always had a belief. You've always been a visionary, right? So what I love about it is, even while I was going through, and what some would say, hey, you're getting blessed beyond measure or blessed more than other people or whatever the case is. No, it's not about that. Like, what this represents is relationships matter, right? And regardless of what journey people are on, like those things, like what you're going and learning in your journey, and you're going to learn in your journey, and what I'm learning in mine, you bring those together, that's when you get into the two can accomplish twice as much as one. That's when you get into many members of one body, because collectively we're stronger.
Yep. That's it. Man, this is some awesome stuff, man.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap it up right now, and we'll come back with another episode with the Tony Dixon and Friends podcast. Thank y'all so much for watching. Check us out.
Yeah.